What is going on, everybody? We're back on it. Hunter x Hunter manga chapter 355 titled Detonation. I don't want to recap too much because the majority of you haven't seen 354 yet. I'm recording this before YouTube has seen it. It's been up on Patreon since Monday. You guys should be seeing 354 Friday. You should be seeing this video on Saturday. Patreon members, you guys should be seeing this on Thursday. We left off there at the end, which I thought was like an anticlimactic Chrollo death, but then turned out to not be. So we've got to just kind of wait to see how all that kind of goes down. Detonation, I'm guessing something's going to explode here, maybe in Chrollo's favor or not in Chrollo's favor. And we'll just kind of leave it at that from last chapter. Again, if you're watching this video, if we can get 100 likes on this video and on yesterday's video, next week, we will have 356 and 357. So 100 likes here, 100 likes on yesterday. I didn't go back and respond to all the comments on last week's videos just because it's just been busy. My business is slowly opening back up, and the further it gets out, it's kind of hard to go back and respond to questions. But it was still pretty much all the same. What I'm still waiting on is, which some people told me it might be spoiler or to wait to find out more, is if Chrollo can give people their abilities back, and that I have got to explain that he is a specialist, and when he takes that ability, that person cannot use that ability nor even train it back up. So I'm wanting to know if that's like something he specifically kind of put into his ability, or it just happened to be like a byproduct of whatever it is that he's doing. That it got explained to me that he's basically taking away the blueprint or even the thought process of even trying to relearn that ability, which actually kind of like blows my mind that, you know, that is possible. Now a specialist, with people that they don't practice their nen, it's never been something, it just comes to them, like Neon, for example. I could see her like having no idea how to even fathom of getting back, but like taking something like Shalnark's ability, or I feel like Killua is the perfect example, because he's someone we've actually seen like trial and error and shock himself, stick his finger in electrical outlets, all that kind of stuff. Like, we saw that blueprint go. And it just blows my mind that if his kind of like Godspeed and all that kind of stuff was taken from him, and just the transmutation of the, what am I saying, transmutation? I've got Full Metal Alchemist on the brain. His transmuter ability, being able to change his aura into electricity, that he would just not be able to just like, well, I did it once, let me just, start from the basics and do it again. It actually blows my mind that his ability is making that not possible. Because it's not like they're getting smacked in the head with like amnesia, or it's like some Men in Black like look into the light flash that like they just can't even remember, oh, I used to be able to do that? I can't see myself doing that. It's like they know what they did and how they got there, but they actually can't? Like, do you guys understand what I'm trying to explain? And actually, like, it's blowing my mind that it can't be, some abilities couldn't be relearned, but that's what I've gotten told. I don't know if we're going to find out that he can give these abilities back, or if are these just loyal troop members to him. Like, Shalnark's not going to get that ability back. Kurotopi is not going to get that ability back if he's unable to give people their abilities back. Now, I don't know if he's on some kind of like all for one My Hero type stuff to where he could give people different abilities. Now, it's a little bit different because with My Hero and with Hunter x Hunter, people have Nen affinity to certain categories, or a category specifically. So I'm not just going to take Shalnark's ability and give it to Kurotopi and vice versa. I don't know if that's allowed or possible, because they could be on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. But if he could do something like that, that's just on a different level. But I wonder if he can give people their abilities back. Could he give people specific abilities that are in their category? Could I give Shalnark an even more OP manipulator ability if I was to take it from somebody? You know, that kind of thing. I guess we've been rambling on. Let's go ahead and get into it. Chapter 355. Guys will be seeing this on Saturday. Detonation. Let's do it. The sun and moon are paired destruction. As you can see, it uses both hands. When I stole an ability that required both hands, I was forced to make some adjustments. Yeah, we saw that. He hasn't lied per se. The explanation got me to assume that, like Gallery Fake, an ability that requires both hands means that it can't be used in conjunction with another ability. Now, another ability that requires both hands, because clearly he could use an ability that required both hands if he bookmarked it and opened it to a different page. But the sun and the moon can be used when another ability is bookmarked and the page is opened with his right hand. In other words, he can imprint the sun with his left hand. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. That was my explanation right there. I think Hisoka assumed that two-handed abilities couldn't be used at the same time. But I don't know if I'm reading this correctly, but I would assume that if he wanted to use like Gallery Fake, which I think is Kurtopi's ability, he could bookmark that, which allows him to use it, close the book. But then could he bookmark it, open it to sun and moon, still, have the Gallery Fake activated, have the sun and the moon. Granted, he can't use the right hand of the moon, but he could use the left hand, which I'm guessing is imprinted with the sun. When the copy vanishes, you may conclude that Gallery Fake has been deactivated. Again, he never said you may conclude that Gallery Fake is still in use while the copies remain. Everything so far is to confirm my understanding of Chrollo's explanations. And I feel like what's making this so much harder to understand, which I'm glad that you guys, again, told me you had to read some of these chapters 3, 4, 5 times to, it was confusing. What makes it even more confusing is like we're getting explanation from Chrollo, but just kind of like quick, broad explanations. We're trying to understand it as a reader through a character that is also trying to understand it as we are, which is kind of like things could be wrong that are assumed to be right in Hisoka's mind, and it's just a lot. Oh god, this is gonna be just seeing this arrow shit. Oh, I want you guys to be able to see the arrow. Let me scroll back up. Now you guys can see it. This thing here, this instead of this flowchart is gonna. I can already tell it's gonna be an issue for me to comprehend here. Instead of activate Gallery Fake, bookmark, close the book, create a crowd of copies. Okay, I'm with you there. Activate order stamp, which would be what he could open the book back up to. So he bookmarked it, closed it, created the fakes. Now I need to stamp them to be able to give them specific commands, command them to break Hisoka. It's actually activate Gallery Fake, bookmark, close the book, create a crowd of copies, activate the sun and the moon, because the copies have already been created. Then, okay, I'm trying to keep up with this here. Activate the sun and moon, and press the sun mark on the copies. Deactivate either or both. A marked copy is projected by post-death intensified Nen and won't vanish. Activate order stamp, command them to break Hisoka. So that's how it is. I think I'm going to try to explain it not. Activate Gallery Fake. Bookmark it. I can create copies. Touch copy, all that kind of stuff. Create a crowd of copies. I'm with you there. Now, activate the sun and the moon. We're opening the book back up to the sun and the moon. Once I've created the copies, I don't need Gallery Fake anymore. I have the copies that I need. They're created. So I can take the bookmark out, bookmark the sun and the moon page, and press the sun on all the copies, touch, deactivate either or. A marked copy is projected. This is the setup here. That deactivate part I'm not trying to look at. I'm thinking he's putting the sun on the copies, opening the book back up to the stamp, and then stamping the copies that he marked with the sun, and order them to break Hisoka. This part right here, deactivate, which I'm guessing is he's deactivating the sun and the moon. Yes. A marked copy is protected by post-death intensified Nen and won't vanish. So all those copies that he marked with the sun are not going to die because, like we've heard before, post-death Nen is intensified and the Nen won't vanish. But then where is the imprinted moon? Because don't the suns need to touch the moon to explode? I can't remember. At the end of the last episode, when I saw Hisoka looking at his hand, was his hand imprinted with the moon, or did he just see that the copy had been imprinted? With the sun and the moon as an additional step, the number of puppets should be fewer than my initial calculations. Yeah, because to create all the copies and go back and stamp them, maybe it's not 50 or so. Yeah, to maybe 20 to 30 more. But if I take too long to find him, he'll keep making new puppets at a pace of one every couple seconds. Oh, and it just blew up right there next to him. Most of the audience has surprisingly stayed put. I can't tell if any of the people are taking care of each other, or Chrollo. What now? Hisoka stands in the middle of the arena. Those who think they're out of range are pretty calm. He's looking for Chrollo, who's disappeared. Let me write that down. That's kind of the only hang-up I'm on. The sun and the moon, you know, the explosion, that type thing. Didn't the two imprints need to touch each other for them to explode? So clearly we're seeing right here that this guy, copy, just exploded. How did that just explode? I'm not quite sure, because doesn't it need to touch the other part to explode? Chrollo can prepare all he wants right now, but he can't exactly take his time. In 10 minutes or so, paramedics and security personnel will come pouring in. He has to finish this before then, or the waiting puppets will be mistaken for injured and be carried out. Yeah, if they're just sitting there, if he just has puppets sitting there without a command, they're just kind of basically just dummies, puppets, just sitting there with no command, not being controlled. This next attack will be the real thing. He'll make explosive puppets with the sun and the moon at maximum power and try to detonate them at close range. No matter how many there are, I can't let the puppets close in on me. What is all this eek eek? Huh? What's happening? Oh god, are these the Are people running towards him or people running away from him? I can't tell what's happening in these shots here. It looks like the is this Hisoka here? It looks like the stadium is almost falling apart. And people are panicking and running, but it also looks like people are running towards him. He's sending the puppets on a rampage to confuse the crowd. Is he setting up something else in this? So he is. Okay. That's why it looked like puppets and regular crowd people were moving. So I couldn't tell if if the floor was just falling apart, if the stands were falling apart. Paramedics and security are on their way. Please try to stay in your seats. Who just took her headset off? Was that Chrollo? Break Hisoka. Sorry about that. I apologize for that biased statement during the broadcast. Did she say that out loud? Sorry about that. I apologize for the biased statement during the broadcast. I see he attracted my attention with the brawl and used the PR system to speak. Oh, wow. He gave the command over the system. I was always curious, like, how do you give, like, how is the command part given? I could see it like, as I'm stamping you, do I have to speak it to the copy puppet as I'm stamping them? This is your command. Then I've got to go to here. This is your command. This is your command. Or, I don't know the specifics on the Nen and the step-by-step and what has to be done. The process of giving the commands. Like, I don't want to have to go one by... I mean, you've got to go one by one anyway, so you might... If that's how you have to do it, that's how you have to do it. But if you want the puppets to be in waiting, I can just stamp them. So they're my puppets, they're under my control, but they have no command. I'm not going to go one by one. Like, he would have to go to 20 of them individually. Break Hisoka, break Hisoka, break Hisoka. Is it just by whoever stamped you can give a command at any given point? Which I'm guessing so because if it could just be any kind of wild voice, the announcer saying, please stay in your seats, they could take that as a command. But maybe it has to come from the specific person that's stamped. They give any kind of command, if they hear it, that's what it is. And he says, I thought that was her saying that. And use the PR system to speak to the entire audience, efficiently giving a command to all the puppets and making it even easier to hide. Yep. So here they come, coming in hot, like a bunch of snakes. Hiss, 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 hiss. What's going on? The crowd is forcing their way in. A lot more this time. Holy shit. And he's still holding on to that bungee gummed head right there. But I mean, they're coming in deep. God, I would love to see this animated. Again, Hisoka looking jacked as shit. Okay, so is this just him? Is this, his classic getting excited face? It's a dope shot. Like, I could already see this animated. It's got like that dark purple hue over it. This reminds me of Uvo's face when he's fighting the Shadow Beast and stuff like that. I think it's after he bites Worm's head off or whatever, and he like kind of sinks down and looks at the camera like this, and they just make it like extra dark shading. But now I could picture this with like purple over it and his pink hair like really standing out. Yeah, I think he's just quadruply excited here, and he's ready to go. So he's got bungee gum going out on every single one of his fingers. Attach, 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 attach. He's pulling them in to him. They're just going to explode, no? Or no, he could detonate it whenever he wants. Again, yeah, that's what I don't know how the sun and the moon works, if they've got to touch a certain part, or he can detonate them whenever he wants. Because we did just see that guy detonate a while back, a couple panels back. So he took the 5 that he just attached and is literally just throwing them around to keep the crowd away from him. Yeah, he's just literally just tossing them back and forth, trying to keep the crowd off. What the? Oh my god. This looks like damn Neo in the second Matrix movie when all the Smiths are coming at him and he's literally like just standing there with his flipping pole just trying to beat him off. What the? A riot. Hundreds of audience members are... Hundreds? I thought we estimated 20 to 30 max. Hundreds of audience members are rushing to attack Hisoka, and he's beating them back with a human hammer. That's a great shot. I mean, she said hundreds. I'm not going to call her a liar. Jesus. Broken already? They're too fragile unless the whole thing is enveloped in aura. Is he saying the human meat bungee gum shield he had, those bodies already broke? Or is he saying the ones that he's slamming are just breaking off that easily? And now he's just going over, just popping people's heads off. They're getting closer, though. Like, he can't keep this up, I don't think. I mean, he's trying. He's going for it. I wonder if we see Chrollo at all. Wow, what a riot. Oh, is it supposed to be Chrollo here? We see him on the phone. Why are they rushing Hisoka? Chrollo's controlling them, right? Whoa, severed arm. Oh, these are just people in the crowd talking. And then here we see him. So he has something manipulated here. What's wild is like he could... It seems kind of like... I don't know what the word... like almost infinitesimal or small to even want to control up to 2 people with that when he could just stamp and control, like she said, hundreds. But we know that the specificity of the commands are going to be much better on the phone. You could actually have them walk and do something and speak and talk and act regularly. With these are just kind of given like, these are just kind of mindless zombies walking around with commands. Yes, right there. Now squat. Okay, which one specifically is he giving this command to? I may knock them back all day with the human hammer, but they still won't stop unless their heads are destroyed. Now. Did my man's hand just blow off? Now, I'm curious as to, like, he says now squat. Which one is he giving that command to? Because what I'm guessing just exploded on his hand is this bungee gum gallery fake stamped head. Now, to give that a command now squat, it wouldn't explode because this isn't going to squat. It's just a head. Did Chrollo give one of them so one of these is being manipulated, like actually manipulated with the black voice. And did he want it to squat so that they would touch the marks needed to touch to no, because then it would have exploded away from his hand. I don't know how his hand just actually exploded. I mean, Chrollo gave the command. And it looks like all he has is a thumb intact. This is what I'd love to see animated, because even during this whole, I don't know how long this has been going on for, 6 to 8 chapters, we've yet to see Hisoka say, like, this isn't good. I don't think I can win. This is too much. I need to get out of here. I need to regroup. I need to back out. I need to surrender. And which I don't know if we'll ever see Hisoka actually ever say, just as his character. But we've never seen him sweat or seem worried. Or he always has like a clever way of like coming out on top. This face right here, though, of the explosion, and then Hisoka looking down at his hand, and then this panel shot right here, I'd love to see that animated with voice, like internal voice thoughts. And that's how it ends, you pieces of shit. Now just watch the P-League, the Women's Tournament, I especially like professional players. And then you guys let me know that this is kind of like him being bowler, things he likes, all that kind of stuff. Okay, hold on. Let's try to dive back into some of this. So I just Googled real quick the Sun and the Moon ability. I didn't get any spoilers and everything, but everything I pretty much saw said that they're two parts of the same bomb and they need to touch. So, and then I saw some people asking the same type of question: what's the point of marking them with just the sun if they need to come in contact with the other part to actually explode? And he can charge them, make a bigger explosion the longer he kind of touches. So what happened there at the end, I'm not quite sure. And then he says the sun and the moon, pair destruction. As you can see, it uses both hands when so we got all that. Again, this is just internal dialogue of Hisoka trying to, pretty much like the reader trying to figure out what the hell is actually going on. And I feel like this is just part of, I don't know if this is part of Chrollo's mind game, or if he knows this will kind of like, not, maybe it will like agitate Hisoka, of like, well, which step is it? Is it, gallery fake to closing the book to creating the cloud, then stamp and then break Hisoka? But it could actually be, this to this to this to this. Is that part of the mind game? And I feel like even if it isn't part of Chrollo's mind game, when an opponent he's fighting sees what he's doing and he explains this to you, it's just got to be in your head regardless. If he's explaining this to you, and I can do this, and I can close this, and I can do this with both hands, and I can do this, I can stamp, then he just vanishes, some type shit, like just disappears in a crowd, and all of a sudden you're just fighting, you're going to sit there asking to yourself, well, what part of that ability just happened to me? Or what is happening to me? Did he deactivate? Does he have the book open on another page? Has he copied himself? Has he touched? So it's just a lot going on. And I feel like whether that's part of Chrollo's game or not, which we know part of it is him having to explain it, which I think at least the bookmark part he has to explain. He doesn't have to explain the abilities. It's going to play in your head regardless. Now, Hisoka was under the impression, and I guess us as a viewer were as well, because we've been going through this through Hisoka's mindset, that we thought there'd be like maybe 50 more, and then we chumped it down to like 20 to 30 more because we wanted it to be faster. With the sun and the moon to have to go around and touch all those puppets, to touch another 50 or 60 would take too much time. Maybe there's only 20 max. And then we see it explode. And this was the question I had. How the hell did this just explode? I don't know, because I figure it needs to touch the opposite part. Now, I'm thinking back to last episode and me Googling real quick. Did we see Hisoka get touched and have the moon on his hand? Because if the head he's holding has the sun on it, and his hand has the moon on it, they are essentially touching. But what was the point of Chrollo issuing that squat command? I don't know. But even though things are marked, can Chrollo still delay the explosion? That's the only way I can really piece together how his hand just exploded. Even if, because that head, if it's been marked with the sun, and Hisoka's hand has been marked with the moon, they've been touching a lot through this whole thing. But even though we know when the two opposite signs touch, there's a triggered explosion, could Chrollo delay the explosion for when he wants it to happen? Because even though the hand and the head and the hand have the opposite signs, Chrollo may be waiting for he may want that explosion to happen at a certain time. Unless that's not true at all and Chrollo cannot control that. As soon as they touched, it should have exploded. Like as he's holding it here in his hand, it should have been exploded. But then he said now, and then it exploded. I don't know. I'm kind of hung up on that. And then we've got Hisoka kind of like talking about the crowd, and Chrollo's going to want to finish this as fast as he can. He won't have time to make a whole another army of puppets, especially if they bring EMTs in here. They're going to start taking out bodies that they might think are dead, that are puppets, that aren't moving. And then, World War Z, Walking Dead, it just starts. I Am Legend. The zombies are just coming. They're coming in hot. We see the crowd here. And the announcer said a couple hundred. We see Chrollo, like again, I'm guessing maybe the only person that has the stamp or issued the stamps can then give the verbal command. Because if not, she could say like, please stay in your seats. And they hear that, they would, but I'm guessing it's the person that actually, issued the stamps. And they're coming in hot. They're coming in hot. The crowd is forcing their way in a lot more this time. And they're just coming down from the rafters, like literally coming down. And then this is probably the best shot of the entire chapter here, for sure. And he just starts going crazy. Bunging them off of each hand, clumps them together like a big ball, and just starts whipping that thing back and forth to try to keep the clones off of him, or keep the copies off of him. I don't know if the statement Hisoka made, and then here she said a riot, hundreds of audience members, and you just see this meat shield around him, are attacking Hisoka, and he's beating them back with a human hammer. He says they're too fragile unless the whole thing is enveloped in aura. Now, too fragile, meaning what he was whipping around was too fragile? I'm guessing, because why would he make the comment that the bodies charging him are too fragile? That would be like a plus for him. They'd be easy to take apart, but he still says they won't stop their command unless he takes the head off. He's going crazy, beating him back and forth. And then we see people, I think these are just people talking in the stands. Wow, what a riot. Why are they rushing Hisoka? Chrollo's controlling them, right? Whoa, severed arm. And then this kind of is the biggest question mark of the chapter. He puts in a command, yes, right there, now squat. We don't see that happen, though. I was trying to look here to see if I saw one squat. I can't tell what's going on in this slam panel right here. You can't tell like what's squatting. We see something here that maybe dodged it. And even if he wanted something to squat so that maybe he had the moon imprinted on another one and the sun imprinted on what Hisoka's holding, I feel like when that touched, I don't know the speed that he could get that back at, that it would explode in his hand, but they explode at the point of the touch, not one end explodes and the other one doesn't. I may knock them back all day with the human hammer, but they still won't stop unless their heads are destroyed. So, he's destroying heads. Chrollo says, yes, right there, now squat. And then he says, now. he pulls the head back after, he's dotting him off, and the head explodes in his hand, and my man's hands are gone. And I wonder what that does for his bungee gum. I'm sure he could kind of send it out in like one big nub like this and could still send bungee gum out here. I mean, the shock of like, losing a hand, blood, all that kind of stuff, and we see the look on his face. So we'll kind of see how that plays out again. The sun and the moon ability, that's kind of the biggest hang up that we're on this chapter. You guys feel free to explain that if it's not going to spoil anything down the road. I guess kind of the biggest questions we have are, what I've seen so far, the opposites need to touch for there to be an explosion. I don't think he can just mark things with sun and just give him a command to explode. Now, this could be a completely different ability. This could have something completely not to do with sun or moon. Maybe that's what the hang-up is, and it doesn't have to do with either of those. What he was telling to squat, how he's telling a bodiless head to squat and explode and all that kind of stuff is going to be TBD. But if it is all sun and moon and I'm missing something here, let me know. But I'm under the impression that both parts had to touch for there to be an explosion. So, and even if both parts are touching here with the hand and the head, they've been touching. So can Chrollo delay the explosion for an opportune moment or something like that? I'm not quite sure. You guys let me know. But yeah, Patreon members, you guys should see this by like 9 o'clock on Thursday night. YouTube, you guys will see this on Saturday. And again, if we can get 100 likes on this video and 100 likes on yesterday's video by Wednesday, we'll do 356 and 357 next week. So I appreciate it, guys. You've been giving me a lot of support on these videos. They're the hottest thing on my channel right now. So I appreciate the near 1,000 views, the plus 100 likes, the subscribers that are coming from it. It's been a great experience, and I appreciate it. So like, share, favorite, subscribe, and as always,